Jeff, what do we have here?
Well, what we have here is a demonstration, and we're going to try to bust the myth that you see on some of the internet forums concerning the fragility of fluorite with temperature shock. So one of the myths that's out there on the internet is that one of the optical designers doesn't use, and manufacturer doesn't use fluorite because it's too fragile, and it's extremely fragile. And the specific myth was that when he took it off the polishing machine, a bit of sweat from his forehead or nose fell onto the fluorite polishing blank, and it shattered or it broke. So we're going to test that myth. So what we have here is a 10-inch in diameter fluorite crystal blank that was donated by Telescope Engineering Company, TEC and YURI and Company. But why was that donated? Well, it's because they had a polishing accident during a power failure at his optical shop. And before he could get to this particular blank on the polishing machine, where the polishing tool was hanging over the edge, he heard a pink, and it had actually developed a cleave from the stress that was on the polishing tool here. So this tool, this blank, was scrap. And I remember on cloudy nights saying, somebody send me a blank or a piece of busted fluorite, and we'll test this myth. And he contacted me and sent me the blank. So right now, what we're going to do is we have warm water here, okay, at about 103, 104 degrees, and an eyedropper. So what we can do is we can just test this myth right now by pulling up some water. You're going to bring it over here to the edge. Is that a good spot there, Tony?
Yep, that's good.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it down and see what happens.
Oh, Jeff.
Nothing.
Oh, busted.
Did we bust the myth? Well, let's try something a little different. Let's do the same thing. But you see the cleave here starts out. So what happened here, it started at the edge and ran all the way into the center until the stresses were low enough that it just stopped. So let's put it right there, right on the edge of the cleave, and see if it continues. 2 drops.
Not looking good.
No, it didn't. Okay. So let's try the center. Nothing. So I guess, Tony, we busted that myth.
Oh, man. Nice job. Nice job, Jeff.
Now, to perhaps completely, no pun intended, bust this myth, instead of the 102, 103 degree water, I've got water here that's so hot, I really can't measure it with my home, medical thermometer. So it's got to be probably, and it's very hot to my touch, so it's probably hanging out right around 130 to 140 degrees. So that's a good 30, maybe even 40 degrees over what it was before. And I'm going to do it again and see what happens. In fact, I'm going to add 2. Now, again, nothing happened. You notice how I put the drop towards the edge. In structures, the edge is called a stress riser, because if you're going to get a crack, you're going to get a crack emanating from the edge, just like you got here, okay? It's a sharp corner. Stress doesn't like corners. It concentrates in the corners. It didn't happen, okay? So here's the other cool thing. No pun intended again. Put my hand on it here. This is room temperature. So it's like 67 degrees. If it came off of a polisher, it would be a little bit warmer, okay? Maybe another, maybe 20 degrees warmer. So the temperature difference between this and a drop of sweat as it comes off a polishing machine would be even smaller. So let's say this is 68 degrees. It's been sitting here all day, and I had maybe 140 degree water. I'm talking about an 80 degree temperature difference between the water and the glass. It's not glass, it's the fluorite crystal, and it still didn't bust or cleave the edge. So that myth that a drop of sweat busted a fluoride element is completely busted.
Excellent, Jeff. Now we know the rest of the story.
So I decided to do a little research. Jeff had said this was on cloudy nights. And so here I find something that is from November 11, 2018, 7:33 a.m. And this looks like it to be the beginnings of what that was. And it says several helpful threads regarding temp changes and the effect of optics. I have heard that fluorite objectives are far more susceptible to damage from rapid temperature change. I am guessing there have been posts with details about personal experience in this regard, but I have not found them. Have any of you had a fluorite glass shatter from the cold? Thanks. And then if we go down a little further on the page, there is an actual link to an article. It says, here is a link to an old CN, Cloudy Nights article by Roland regarding fluorite in sub-zero weather. Roland being the owner of astrophysics telescopes. And here is that article. I'll put a link in the description to my video. I'm not going to read this whole thing. And this article is, as stated, by Roland from March 18th, 2005.